I don't think people realize how good life is, or that life has gotten better. The reason why I bring this up is because I got a notification from Best Buy this morning. They're having some flash sale, and I looked at the TV prices, and there's like a 65-inch TV for like 499. It's like $500, and then there was like a 40 something inch for like 260. I want to say 260. I don't think it was 160. I think it was 260, or maybe 160 because they dropped the price $100 from 260. Go look it up, I guess. But like it, looking at those TV prices makes me drop my jaw, because I remember, and you can ask any of my college friends, when I first went to college back in 2000, 2001, I bought this monstrous Panasonic 32-inch TV. The thing was probably like 250 pounds or something. 250 pounds? 180 pounds. It was ridiculous, dude. It required two people to carry it. And the handles on each side were so terrible that they would cut into your, like, they were straight up like just like this. So it was a straight up, like, all the way into like a pressure point. And I lived on the 12th floor of Jester Dorm. 12th floor the first 2 years, and then like the 14th floor the last year of the 3 years that I was there. And we had to like carry that thing up, not the flight of stairs, but we had to carry it into the elevator, ride the elevator all the way up, carry it to the room. You can ask any of my friends who helped me move it, and especially my friend Dwight, because Dwight helped me move that like 3 times, or 3 or 4 times. And that thing was like the most monstrous TV there ever was. And it was only 32 inch. And back then, we didn't even have, like, widescreen TVs were not a thing yet. It was a full-size TV. So, like, 32 inch, like, diagonal, right? That's how they measure TVs. So it wasn't like 32 inch widescreen. It was like full screen. So it was just a square. And it was 32 inch. It was super heavy, super inconvenient to move around. Like, if you look at those TVs I was talking about at Best Buy today, you could probably pick those up with one arm. Like, you could put it, like, underneath one arm and just pick it up and walk out the door, because it's so thin and light, those things. And the quality is so much better. That old Panasonic 32-inch TV I bought, it was 480p. 480p progressive. It could do 720p, but, like, almost nothing could do 720. You couldn't find, like, any video games. There was, like, 3 Xbox games total that could do 720p. One of them was like Soul Calibur, and then the other 2 were like shitty Xbox games that nobody gave a shit about, but for some reason they did 720p. And then the TV could also do 1080i, 1080 interlaced, and that was like the Enter the Matrix game was like 1080i or something like that. It was so terrible. 480p was like making me super excited. Like, oh shit, 480p, look how awesome that looks. And yeah, I haven't even mentioned the price. I think I spent like $1,300, $1,300 on that TV. It was ginormous. I didn't have a truck, so I had my roommate who had a convertible, Mustang convertible, and we put it in the back seat where it was, and we like put the seats up all the way, and we just squashed this monstrous huge cardboard box in the back, and we drove it back to the dorm. And I had the biggest TV in the dorm. There's no way anybody had that big of a TV back in the dorms, because nobody was crazy enough to do it. But like, when I look back on that TV and just imagine, it baffles my mind how much technology has progressed. That hasn't even been like 20 years. It hasn't been even like 18 years. Like, I bought that in 2001 or 2002. And it's like 2019 right now. And like, you got to remember, like, back then we had like flip phones. I mean, cell phones were just, you pick up the phone and you call somebody, and that's it. And then, like, I would save all the phone numbers in the phone, and if you switched phones, you were shit out of luck. You had to, like, enter everything manually into a new phone. The old phone I have is an old Motorola. I'm going to try to find the picture of it. I don't even remember the old one. It was like an old Motorola. It wasn't even like a full-colored screen. It was, like, black. and neon green. Those were the two colors on the screen, like literally. And then, like, 4, 5, 6 years later, they were like smartphones, and it wasn't even just like looking up. You could look up directions, which was like a baffling thing for me too, because for all my like life, I would sit there and just like, oh, you want to look it up? Let's look it up on MapQuest. Where's the address? And then they would print you a list of like, turn left here, turn right here, and they'd just give you all the streets, and then you had to freaking print it out, grab a sheet of paper, and then like while you're driving, be like, okay, so it says this street. Let's turn on this street. Where is this street? And you'd be driving around like that, dude. I mean, like, what the fuck? How did people live like that? And it made me think about it too, because for a while I delivered Chinese food recently, and like, imagine, like, now you have Uber and you have like cell phones and smartphones and Google Maps. Like, that shit is easy. Anybody can be a delivery driver. But there was a time in like human history where like delivery drivers, and this also probably goes for like taxi drivers, like they were like a commodity, right? Like, to be a delivery driver or to be a taxi driver, there was some sort of like expertise involved with that. Because like, oh, I need to go to this place, and they're like, yeah, sure, no problem, I know where that is. And then they would just take the roads there, right? Like, with Google Maps, like, the hell, what was that? Oh, but like now with like all these services and smartphones, like anybody can be that guy. It requires no expertise to deliver pizzas or Uber drive somebody from point A to point B. You don't have to know, because imagine, like, when I was a kid, and I talked about ordering pizzas when I was a kid. Like, imagine they called you in and you're like, you call Domino's Pizza and you're like, hey, this is my address, and they're like, how would you even know where the fuck that address was? Like, you put a, they used to have like this. Y'all kids might not get this, but they used to have books with maps on them with like streets and numbers, and you'd have to sit there and like, well, is it on which neighborhood is that under? Like, how did that even work, man? People had to like, there wasn't MapQuest and any of that stuff either. So like, how the hell did people deliver pizzas back then? It's completely insane to even think about. Oh, do I want to talk about like movie? There's a bunch of stuff we could talk about. I don't want to make this video too long, but if you want to check it out, look at my other video. I'm going to talk about how we used to look up movie times, before there was like smartphones, and like we used to look up movie times. And then what was the other one? Oh, like caller ID. There's a story about me going to try to buy a caller ID. I went to a Fry's Electronics looking for a caller ID, and the guy was confused out of his mind, which, if you're young, you're probably confused right now too. But if you're old, like me, watch that video because it's pretty funny. I'm going to cut this one short because I don't want them running long. Thanks for listening, guys. Hope this has been fun.